Good morning. Oh, come on in, sit down. You're welcome. Come on, take your coat off. Stay a while. Hurry, it's a good one today. Come on. Well, thank you. But this is extra. So come on, sit down. We got any conspiracy theorists in the room today? Where are you at? Come on. Yeah, those guys, definitely. All right. The rest of you are like, well, we're smart conspiracy theorists because we don't make ourselves known in public any more than we have to. That's okay. I understand that. You guys get kind of a bad rap, okay? But let me tell you, today is your day. Today is your day. Finally, you get a day in church. Isn't that something? Yeah. I'm not saying that you guys get it all right all the time. Actually, a lot of the time, you're just kind of guessing. Like, you know something's up, but I mean, as far as exactly what's going on, you don't know, and you're probably wrong. But here's the thing. You guys get a bad rap because reality is conspiracy is a real thing. Like, it doesn't take much to have a conspiracy. You just have to have, like, two people plus who kind of, recognize each other across the room or online or something, and they both have kind of the same bad motive and the same great idea. And they kind of work in cahoots, right? It doesn't take much. Actually, if it's for a good cause, we just call it good teamwork. But there are so many bad causes out there, camouflaged as good ones. People out there have their own version of justice. They have their own version of humbling people. They think they know your inner motives, right? Sometimes it's nothing personal. People just need a scapegoat. Or somebody sees a way to get a better position for themselves, and they don't mind if they do, just kind of, kicking some people to the side on the way up, right? People get jealous of the fruits of other people's labor. It's a real thing. And then, it doesn't take much longer. Let the games begin, right? And most of the conspiracies that believers and non-believers will ever encounter are probably not going to be worth writing a book about. Okay? Most conspiracy is very low-key, it's shallow, it's superficial, it doesn't involve large, deep state kind of stuff. I'm sure there's weird things going on in the government I would never, ever hope to know about, and I'd be ashamed, but, that's real. That's people. However people go, there's dirt. But here's the thing. If you're really interested in being used by Christ to make some kind of a difference, right? Well, people don't pay attention to people who don't do anything out of the ordinary, right? So, it's one thing to hold your head down and not get involved in anything and go, straight to work, to home, to work. But as soon as you get caught speaking up or trying to change the course of things for someone, pull someone away from a lifestyle they're headed for, or participate in something that's good that nobody else wants to participate, or refuse to participate in something. The thing is, you start to live in light, you draw attention to the dark doesn't like it. It's natural. Jesus put it this way, he said, everyone who does evil hates the light and does not come into the light for fear his deeds will be exposed. That goes for everybody. That goes for believers too. Honestly, that's a principle that is at work in every human being who has sin in their life somewhere, somehow. Even believers, even fine church people, we appreciate the light up to the point that it exposes the good things that have happened in our lives. But, the moment that things get a little more bright than we were ready for, a little more transparent than we were planning on, you feel that little, that cringe, let's not talk about that, maybe. Let's not get into that area, maybe. It's just natural. And so, it's a natural human thing to react negatively when you see somebody going a little further, maybe, a little farther than you're comfortable with. And that can go every way. Non-church people, church people, between church people. I mean, oh my gosh. I can remember the first time, though, it hit me. If somebody had actually told an outright lie about me. Now, I'm not talking about an exaggeration or like a different interpretation of events. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking like somebody actually made up a thing that happened that didn't happen. And then they told other people that thing had happened, that way. And I was like, oh, that can't be right. Who would actually tell a straight up lie? Like, adults don't tell straight up lies, do they, anymore? Is that still a thing? Oh my! Yes, they do. Oh my, they do. Wow. But when it first hits you, somebody would even do that. It's kind of like, whoa, no way, no. But then you start to believe a little bit. Then you get all, what do you feel like inside? You start to get twisted up about it, right? You go through anger, you through despair, there's everything in between, Oh, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Nobody ever told a lie about you. Nobody ever, came at you underhand. No? Oh, okay. All right. No, I think we should get the hands back in the air, right? Like everybody's experienced it or probably going to. Yeah. And my question is, what are you supposed to think when that happens? Like, what are you supposed to do? So we're doing this 6 real test thing. And guess what? The next chapter, chapter 6 of Daniel, covers a conspiracy. It's even a government conspiracy. So you guys should really be in tune here, even if you're like, I don't know, but I do love government conspiracies. Well, here's one for you. Daniel chapter 6. So, Babylon, if you don't remember, or you weren't watching, you better catch up. Babylon is now under new management. And Darius the Mede is in charge. He's come in and conquered, killed the old king, thrown everybody out. Now he's in charge. Babylon. Actually fairly big nation. Covers places in Egypt. It covers the Mediterranean, into Greece, into Turkey, into a little bit into where Russia is a little bit, and down into Iraq and Iran, and off into a little bit of India. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And we're told it pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. The satraps were made accountable to them so that the king might not suffer loss. In other words, we don't want these guys just out there running their own little kingdoms and, cooking the books and sending back the incorrect amount of tax and charging. We got to have people overseeing this, so Daniel's one of those people. Now, Daniel so distinguished himself amongst the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Yeah. At this, the administrators and the satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so. They could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Now you would think, just pause, you would think, if you had someone who was up for a position, the highest position in the entire government, and you got a whole crew of hundreds of people together to investigate and find out something that this guy had done that was shady, and they couldn't find anything, you'd think everybody would be clapping their hands. Come on, we want this guy. Turns out he's a really stand-up guy. Get him in there. But resentment is a powerful thing. And so, they all go to the king and they come up with this ego-boosting plan. It's kind of brilliant, actually. They come to the conclusion, finally these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel unless it has something to do with the law of his God. We're going to have to play some chess to get this guy out of the picture. So they do. And they come up with this ego-boosting plan. They present it as kind of like 30 days of king worship. Listen, we believe, all of us together, your entire government feels this is the best thing to do next. You should put together 30 days in a row where only the king can be prayed to. Only the king can be worshiped. Just as kind of an acknowledgement that the king is equally as important as any god that anybody worships in the entire, nation. All these different languages, all these different pagan, traditions will unite around this. Isn't that a good idea, king? And you should put it in writing to make it irrevocable, because the rule is if the king gives a written decree, it cannot be repealed even by the king himself. That shows power. So they do it. He does it. He goes for it. Goes right for the bait. Now, when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, this is the important part. Pay attention to what Daniel does next. He went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. You know, the human in me is like, no, Daniel, go find a rock somewhere, crawl under it, pray in there if you have to. You know what I mean? Humans are like, you're going to fall for their thing. There's going to be trouble. It's like watching a movie, and you know what's happening because you're omnipotent in a movie, right? You can just see it, how it plays out. No, Daniel, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. And this whole group, they get a group together, so they have multiple witnesses, and they creep up there, and they listen, and they all catch him praying to his God, and not the king. And of course, the king is powerless to act. I say powerless because, come on, something couldn't be done, not anything. You know, you couldn't sneak him out of there. Nothing could be done. And so the promise of violating this law is to be thrown into what? Come on, kindergarten, Sunday school people, the lion's den. This is a famous one. The lion's den. They kept a den full of lions and intentionally kept them a little hungry all the time just so they could make a big display, a big threat. You're going to be killed, but you're going to be killed by being eaten by wild animals. So you better pay attention, right? And so the king is kind of a spineless guy. We're told he feels terrible. He's in anguish about this thing all night, but he's got to let it happen. Gotta let it happen. He says, may your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you. Daniel 6:16. See, he likes Daniel a lot. The problem is not so much that he'd risk his position. And you will find, as a believer, at different times, you'll be in a situation where you really hope there's somebody out there that just recognizes the situation for what it is, right? You hear a gossip, or you hear somebody, planning to do something they shouldn't do, or I'm going to blah, 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 and you think, there's got to be somebody out there with a conscience, right, to shut that down. You would hope. But what you'll find is what Daniel found, that having a conscience is not the same thing as having a conviction. And there are plenty of people out there who have enough conscience to feel terrible about something, but don't have enough conviction to put their neck on the line. When that happens, most of us get really, really discouraged. I've had that in my life. I've had things, trying to do a thing to protect somebody or shield somebody, and there's somebody in power, and they tell you later, they had a chance to speak up or do something. Oh, I hated that when they did that. Oh, I didn't like it when they said that. I should have, they don't say I should have. They just said, man, it was just, I didn't agree with that at all. I'm like, you didn't agree? Where were you? What were you doing? You couldn't say anything? Come on. Were your lips glued shut? Did you snack on some super glue for breakfast? Like, what is wrong? So disappointing. But it happens. And in that moment, you're tempted to think, what? I'm alone, right? God must be powerless. Or he's just not concerned, or not looking. They got me. Well, God wasn't looking. It's just like a bad game. The ref has got a problem, or got something in his eyes. He didn't catch. Just like watching WrestleMania or something. Like, wow, how did the ref not see that? Gave him the noogie in the corner. Nobody was looking. Feels like garbage. But it's not even just like, oh, some damage is going to come my way. Because most of us truly, if there's a good cause, if something is worth standing up for, you weigh the risk. You say, you know what, even then, I'm still going to do the right thing. Even if it costs me a whole bunch of money. Even if it costs me, my cred with some people that I thought were my friend. Even then, I'll still do the right thing. Most people can sustain a little damage for the sake of making the righteous choice. If they're serious about following. But there's an anxiety that creeps into our lives when things are going badly. When some chess pieces of ours are being removed from the board, the problem is it looks like evil's going to win. And that ain't right. Why must it look like evil is going to win? It crushes people's hearts. More than a little suffering, more than a little loss of reputation. The idea that evil's going to win this round. I hate it. Don't you? Are they really going to get away with that? Are they really going to, that's just going to happen and God's not going to step in? And why? So this sad, anguished, sickened king with a huge conscience and no conviction goes to the lion's den in the morning. Can't sleep. He's just wrecked by it. Imagine that. His favorite, his top pick has to be killed. What? He says, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue from the lions? What a question. Has he been able to rescue you? And Daniel answered, O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O king. Subtle jab. According to God, this isn't how things ended for me, so here I am. What a picture. By the way, he's a senior now. Did you know that? He's an old man. He's been through it. This is almost comical in a way. I mean, here's this guy. I mean, he's somewhere between 70 and 80. He's been through some stuff here. It's not his first rodeo. Nope. God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They haven't hurt me. Now, in kindergarten, you kind of take the lesson to be, oh, great, as long as I do what the Lord wants, nothing bad will ever happen. Right? I mean, isn't that kind of the takeaway? Like, oh, as long as I'm faithful, the evil will never be done to me. Of course, you grow up a little bit, and you realize that's not actually quite right, because actually Daniel's already had lots of bad things happen to him. This is one of those places of God's immeasurable favor displayed for everybody to see, but he certainly has had bad things happen to him. Of course, if you look at the life of Christ, I mean, hello. But don't make the mistake of thinking there's no lesson here. It's actually it's just an unimaginable encouragement here. Because you have to finish the story. They didn't teach you to memorize this part. Because of the way everything goes down, the king, who, by the way, just days before issues the stupidest decree imaginable, right? Everyone must bow down and worship and pray to me for 30 days, or you die. Like, okay. Listen to this. You catch this? This is how it ends. He issues another written decree to everybody, the whole nation, men of every language, background, tradition, everybody who falls within this empire. Listen to this little letter he writes for the general public. May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God. That means the real one. And he endures forever. And his kingdom will not be destroyed. Nobody's going to unking him. He will always be. His dominion will never end. You can't run out of God's boundaries by going a little bit too far, into the Atlantic. It's just everywhere. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. Signed, Darius, King of Kings. That was his title. That's what they called him. I just want to point out, this started with a bunch of dudes who resented him for 120 plus reasons. And they set out to play chess against him and his God. And they came up with a very clever plan that basically went to plan. Pretty good. And that they intended to stamp him out, all of his influence, so they can get away with whatever they think they can get away with without him in the picture. Stealing money, public funds, I don't know. But the story doesn't end with a loss. You got that, right? I mean, he gets freed. It's a miracle. But not only does the story not end with a loss, it doesn't even end neutral. Right? Did you see that? This turns in to God's opportunity to broadcast and honor his own name across the entire civilization with the king's stamp on it. A royal decree. Everyone must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. Some of these people don't even know who the God of Daniel is. Well, who is he? He's the living one. He's the actual one. He's the powerful one. And everybody must fear and reverence him. Why? Because, well, let me tell you, he rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders. And he's rescued Daniel, famous man in government, from the power of lions. Like, you don't play chess against God's team and win, right? You don't. But not only do you not play against God's team and win, it's not even like a draw, right? It's not even a draw. It's not even like God's team and the other guys lose a little. Like when you play against God's team, if you're patient and hang in there, you get embarrassed. You get utterly wrecked and humiliated. The king puts all these guys to death. And then issues this decree. It isn't just like Daniel doesn't get killed, okay, lives to fight another day. It's like Daniel just glorified the name of his God in every corner of the most advanced and powerful empire. Who saw that coming? Nobody. The problem with playing chess against God is you think you're playing chess, he's fishing. Right? He's playing a different game. And somebody comes along and I'm going to steal that worm. And they get they bite into that worm, they start running all over, they go as far as they want to, and he's just letting line out, letting out line, until he's not. And then he starts whining it back in. Look at me, I'm getting the worm. Oh, you think you're getting the worm. You just think you're getting the worm, friend. He's got you on the hook, and you got all this slack running around thinking you got away with something. You haven't. And the lesson here and the encouragement here is simply this. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you just hang in there and be patient. You just hang in there and you keep doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing before the thing. And every part of you is going to scream bloody murder. Yeah, I got to get out there and I've got to bring credit to my name and I got to talk to all my friends that were talking about me and I got to I got to do all this and I got to take somebody to court and I've got to It doesn't end, I'm telling you. It just doesn't. Or you could pay extra attention and make sure that you do not get distracted from doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing. Because when you are on God's team, you win. Period. Period. You may suffer a little. You may suffer a lot even. But you're on the winning team. Ain't nobody getting away with nothing. Never. God will deal with it all. And He may, if you're faithful, He may even use your example to cause some conviction in somebody that didn't have any before. Just like this guy. Just like this guy. Darius, King of Kings. Now, here's the thing. If God is your coach in life and you are playing it His way, you actually have to know how to play it His way. You actually have to have the disciplines of a believer. You actually have to have some knowledge of God's heart and what it looks like to follow and what it looks like and how do you forgive and what if it's hard and how do you pray and what's that like and what happens when you don't get what you think, and you have to work through this entire lifetime of discipleship the way that Daniel did. If you want to have a Daniel response in your heart, that's what it takes. You can't benefit from a coach who's never been allowed to coach you. And so if you're in that position, if you're in a position of seeing things play out and threaten you and wonder, what are they going to do and what's this mean for me and all this stuff, it may just be time to put an end to the anxiety and focus clearly on the will of God by getting to know God as He made Himself known to us, Jesus Christ. The one coach who will never let you down. This morning, I'm asking you to just take a fresh look. Fresh look at your relationship with God. Because there will always be somebody out there threatening to mess something up. There'll always be some gossip. There'll always be some ill-intended plan or a plot or somebody trying to foil the best intention. There's always going to be something. But when you know who you serve and you know the power of this God, and that His kingdom never ends, endures forever, come on. There's one way to be sure you don't lose. It's following Him. So as we pray this morning, like I said, I challenge you to take a fresh look at your relationship this week. Fresh. Look at the trouble, look at the noise, take it all in for a moment, and then ask yourself, am I still doing what I'm supposed to be doing? God help me. Am I still praying the way I'm supposed to be praying? Am I still focusing on You and Your will? Am I still trying to understand Your word, piece it together in life the way I'm supposed to? Am I still in community with people? Am I still being open and honest? Am I still finding people to trust and being trustworthy myself? Am I still doing those things? Am I still finding people to help, to share your story? Am I still? God, whatever may come, let me be found still doing the things You've called me to. So I don't want to waste a life losing a battle that can't be won. I want to win. I pray by the power of Jesus Christ, God incarnate, in a man, as Himself, that we would bind ourselves with Him fresh, not just today, every day. God, Do your will through us. Encourage others through us. Let us not get distracted from the winning strategy. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. As we end this time together, I just remind you that that prayer team that Rich advertised so well this morning is going to be available up here at the sides. You can kick around as long as you want. If you want to wait and speak to somebody, individually, or have a specific person that you want to pray with because you're not sure, but maybe you know them, come on, they're going to be up here for as long as you want. The rest of you, of course, are free to go on with your day and meditate on these words. And remember, I hope to see you at a group, or I hope that some of our group leaders see you at a group. That's where a lot of the magic of church happens, honestly. It's between people. So just remind you of that. Come on up, receive prayer for anything that caught your attention this morning, as well as any other needs that haven't been spoken today. You need somewhere to go. That's what these guys are here for. Okay?